This is 1B. Well, this is not even complete. Like, we're going to add into this because we'll talk about it, which was rational functions. So these are your graphs that have your asymptotes, okay? Rational functions just mean there's a fraction. So it's something like f of x over, and then whatever's in the top, it could be a number. It could be mixed with a variable. It doesn't matter, but there will be a variable in the bottom with some sort, okay? That's what defines a rational function. Yeah.
So wait, we're doing nothing.
I'm going to just do a quick recap. And then you're going to get into the multiple choice. So for those of you that are keeping review notes, I would say add to them. If not, I did promise I would clean these up and post them when we get to the end. Okay, zeros of your function. So for a 0, we set the numerator equal to 0, okay? It's where it crosses the x-axis. This would also be your x-intercepts. But of course, before you do any of those things, remember, you see if you can simplify it, right? Because this is where if we cross out, there's holes, that kind of stuff. Like all that was in this unit. So those give you your x-intercepts. Multiplicity still counts here. So if something happens more than once, your graph does bounce at that curve, that kind of thing. Or bounce at that point. Your x-intercepts, you plug 0 in for x. Is that x? You plug 0 in for x. The zeros, which would be the x-intercepts, you plug in for y. And there might be a time in which you don't have an x-intercept. A y-intercept because it doesn't cross the x-axis, or it doesn't cross the y-axis. But if there is one, that's how you find it. Your asymptotes, there were 3 different types of asymptotes. The vertical asymptotes come from the denominator. So you set your denominator equal to 0. And these are x equals things. These are equations, so they have to have x equals. If this was on an FRQ and you didn't have the x equals, you would lose points because it is an equation, so they have to have those. And then your horizontal asymptotes, there were 3 cases. So we said the exponent in the top was the m, the highest exponent in the top. The exponent in the bottom was the m. And the first case is if n is less than m, then your horizontal asymptote is at y equals 0. If n is greater than m, there is no horizontal asymptote. If it's one more, there's slant, but we'll go back to that. And if your n equals your m, then your horizontal asymptote is y equals the leading coefficient of your numerator over the leading coefficient of your denominator. Do these sound familiar? Yeah, hopefully. Okay. And then the last one was your slant asymptote, and this is if n is 1 more than m. So they can't have both slant and horizontal, okay? But they can have neither, because if the top is like 2 more than the bottom, then they have neither. To find the slant asymptote, we divide numerator by denominator, and we ignore the remainder. So we could divide using long division or synthetic division, and you get y equals, and it should be mx plus b form because that is a line. So both horizontal and slant are y equals, whereas vertical is x equals. Oh. Yep.
Do we say on do we know on the exam it's gonna force us to use synthetic division?
No. Yeah. It just says find slant. It doesn't even tell you how. You have to know that. So that you remember that you can't use slant if what you're dividing by has a squared. So if it was like x squared in the bottom, you can't use slant. Like if it was x to the third and x squared. You can't. You'd have to use long division. But if it's just linear, you can use either. All right, then you had n behavior here. So you had your limit notation. So it would have said like the limit as x approaches, and n behavior would go positive infinity and negative infinity. And if you had the horizontal asymptote, then your f of x approaches or equals the horizontal asymptote, whatever the value of the horizontal asymptote is. So if I have a horizontal asymptote at 0, my n behavior, they both approach 0. If there is no horizontal asymptote, then we do the weird thing where we take just the leading term, we simplify it, we plug in negative infinity and positive infinity and see what would happen. So if it said something like f of x equals 3x squared over x, this does not have a horizontal asymptote. So I would take this, and even if it said like plus 1 or minus 3, I would only focus on the leading terms. I would take the 3x squared, I would put it over x, I would simplify it, and I get 3x. And then I plug in negative infinity if I want to know the end behavior to the left. And if I got negative infinity, ooh, that looks like an 8. Negative infinity, this is going to go to negative infinity. And if I plugged in positive infinity, my values are going to positive infinity. It's going to ask you about limit notation. And then remember, we had limit notation as we're approaching an asymptote and a hole, which we'll get to in a second. And those would be like if I had a vertical asymptote at x equals 1, and I want to know what's happening as, oh no, the limit would happen first. The limit x approaches 1 from the left, and then it would be limit as x approaches 1 from the right. And that would depend on your graph. So a lot of these questions, you actually have to kind of estimate what your graph looks like before you can answer those questions. So you want to be comfortable getting an estimate of your graph. It doesn't have to be perfect, but an estimate of your graph. I'm going to go to holes, and then I'll go back up to the regression. So the holes, if you cancel a term in the denominator, okay, it causes a hole there. So if I had x plus 1, and then I had x squared plus 2x minus 3. Actually, let me make that other way around, minus here. Something like this. I'd have to factor the bottom first. So this would be x minus 3 and x plus 1. And now these cancel. And if I've canceled it out completely on the bottom, it is no longer a vertical asymptote. It just became a hole. So I'd have a hole. The x value of the hole would be what I get from solving this. So it would be at negative 1. And then how would I find the y value of the hole? You plug it back into the simplified version. So I would plug it back into 1 over x minus 3. I'd get 1 over negative 1 minus 3, which is negative 1/4. So there's a question in the multiple choice that says something about where is the y value of the hole. That's what you have to do. You have to like figure out where the x value is and then take it, plug it back into the updated version. So after you've simplified. Yeah.
What did you say like YouTube before holes? Like, I remember when you were...
The only thing that comes from before the holes is your domain. And then everything after that, and the x coordinate of your hole. And then everything after that is your updated version. So factor, see if you can cancel. Well, actually, you could factor. You could find your domain if that's on there. I don't know that I even saw anything in the multiple choice where it just explicitly asks for domain. But you could find it by setting your denominator not equal to 0, then simplify, and then find the remaining stuff. And then remember, there were like times where even if you crossed it out, so if I got x plus 1 in my numerator, but it was like x squared plus 2x plus 1 in my denominator, the top would still stay the same. The bottom would become x plus 1 and x plus 1, and only one of these cancel. So there is not a hole at that spot. There's still a vertical asymptote. So if after you cancel, that answer still remains, it's not a hole. Does that make sense? It's a vertical asymptote still. So only if you cancel completely from the bottom, not the top, because the top doesn't matter. The bottom is where the holes come from. That came up in a question. I think it was already factored, but it definitely comes up in a question. Good? Okay, and then in this section is your regression, okay? Remember that this is where we use our calculators. We plug in the points for your stat plot, your list 1, your list 2. It's going to ask you to, at some point, compare, I think it was cubic, quartic, quadratic. So you need to know how to find all those using your calculator. You need to know how to look at the stat plot. So remember when we typed in the stats, you had to turn on stat plot. And if you want to see the best fit on your graph, it's called Zoom Fit. Like when you go to do your window, there's something called Zoom Fit that helps you get your full graph. But there's a question that's going to ask you to compare your stat plot to the actual curve to see which one is the best fit, and then you answer a question based on that. So stat plot is definitely something that comes into to today's. Good. Questions on any of the good thing about this section was like it was like that those rational functions were like spread out over the course. I think it was like 3 or 4 sections, or so it was a long time. Yeah. If there's not, well, so it could it could help you just figure out your graph, okay? But usually the ones you guys saw, if it didn't have a horizontal, had a slant, but it doesn't have to. You would just say none.
No, but like, how did you solve for it? Like, what did you plug in?
Oh, you mean for the end behavior?
Yeah.
You're gonna simplify your expression, so you grab the leading term, whichever one has the biggest exponent. You focus on just those in the top and the bottom. You put them over each other. You simplify it, and then you plug in negative infinity and positive infinity. So you're looking to see what would happen. Like if your original one is squared, then your negative infinity is going to go to positive infinity. Like that kind of stuff. You want to focus on that kind of end behavior. Dane.
Could you go back to the horizontal?
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. See how you do it. Number 1, you like literally have to like figure out what it looks like before it. It's like number 1, I was like, that's not a good way to start. It's not the easiest question. Usually work your confidence up a little bit, not today. Because this is not in rational functions, but it was in this, and it's the binomial expansion.
Oh, the pyramid thing, right?
Yeah. So if it said like x plus 3 to the 4th, remember we figured out the pattern, right? So it'd be like x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd, x to the 1st, x to the 0. And it'd be 3 to the 0, 3 to the 1st. It asks you, you have to use it to determine something. 3 to the 3rd, but it asks you about the coefficient. So this is how you do that part, but then we use Pascal's triangle to do the coefficient. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. And remember the second number matches the exponent. So this would be 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. It does ask you, it's a weird little word problem, but it asks you about the coefficient. And so you have to understand Pascal's triangle really. Yeah.